I have been a comic for 6 months.
It'll be a year and a half, probably, like around this time.
About 7 months.
7 months.
I started about the same time Dave did, so summer of 2009. So a little around a year and a half.
I think about a year and a half. Yeah, there'll be 2 years.
About 4 months longer than Rick. Now you have to use Rick's interview. I'll just footnote Rick's interview the entire time. I have been a comic for, it'll be 3 years in February. Three of the happiest years of my life, really.
Well, it's really fun, and I'm pretty good at it.
I love it. Honestly, there's no better way to cope with the real world than to get up and be the center of attention for as little as 5 to 10 minutes. It's really therapeutic, more or less.
Well, I don't have any other usable skills, really, or in much of a formal education other than high school.
It's the feeling that you get when you make an entire room of people laugh. Like, that feeling is, like, fantastic.
So then I tried it, and for a while it was just a creative outlet, and now as I've gotten a little better, I enjoy it more, and I have fun doing it.
I always felt like I had something important to say.
Yeah, it's just fun. It's fun to do, fun to say. Get up there and run your mouth. Have people pay attention to you.
I mean, to understand a chair, you've got to know what a chair isn't. And so to understand how to be a nice person, you've got to understand what a nice person isn't. So people who don't recognize that everyone likes sex and that pooping is funny, they end up leading extremely bizarre, repressed lives where, I mean, a lot of them end up as Republican senators. And we know what happens then. I don't want to be one of those guys that says that I started doing comedy because a girl broke my heart, but I started doing comedy because a girl broke my heart.
I mean, like I said, it's something I've always wanted to do since I was 10. When I was little, my dad worked at a bar, and I'd try to stay for him to get home, and I'd watch A&E's Evening at the Improv was on every night. So I'd sit there and I'd watch that for hours on end, trying to stay up for my dad to get home. So I was kind of raised and babysat by comedians.
I graduated from college and realized that if I didn't start soon, I might not ever get a chance.
I got fired from a job that really, really, really sucked, and saw the open mic at the in the paper, and I think I planned to do it. I think I saw the ad in May, and I think I spent all of June and half of July getting drunk and working up the courage to come down, and then finally, like, July 22nd.
And one of the things when I was locked up that I noticed as a defensive mechanism was humor. I'd humor people. I wouldn't, I wouldn't know how to deal with myself other than making people laugh. So they just, kind of leave me the fuck alone.
I had my lung spontaneously collapse in October of the year before. And then a couple months later, I was sitting at a stop sign and a van plowed into my car at about 55 miles an hour. So I had 2 brushes with death. And I had always wanted to get on stage and tell jokes. But I'd always told myself, well, can do it next year. Can do it, the time's not right. Can do it later.
Just said, fuck it, let's do it. And then I went in, and the rest is history.
It's such a silly thing to be doing for a living, and yet there's a weird kind of awe about it, like, oh man, I could never do that. Yes, you can. It's really not that hard.
Well, I mean, it's basically the general, like, oh, you're a funny guy, huh? Tell me a joke. Tell me a joke, funny guy. What's a clever observation on an everyday thing that everyone experiences? Like, that kind of whole thing,
Something genuinely funny happens in the moment, and stand-up comedy is sort of recreating that moment. So when somebody on the spot says, tell a joke, if it's just a one-on-one running through my jokes, no one's going to like that anyway. So.
The only thing I can tell is it's to me it becomes sort of a sensory overload.
Once you get the microphone in your hand and you say something and you get the immediate response, the world starts to sort of melt away.
Heart rate speeds up, breath speeds up. I mean, everyone gets a little nervous, and if they say they don't, they're lying.
Basically, the entire world ceases to be, and you cease to be. You just become a hand with a microphone in it and a mouth.
And everything that troubles you, everything that worried about, everything that you have to look forward to, you know, that you worry about, that you're working for, everything in the here and now is just obsolete. And then there's just that moment. That's it.
Like, a lot of times people have this misconception about stand-up comedy, and especially local stand-up comedy. Like, it seems like every story that I ever read that somebody's written about an open mic, like, the expectation that they had going in is like, well, I went to this local open mic comedy night thinking that it was going to suck ass, but you know, it actually wasn't too bad.
It's different when you're the same person on stage as you are off stage. A lot of comics aren't, although our comedy scene here, almost all of them are the same on stage as they are off, and that must just be a Madison thing of doing comedy.
But I think for like real raw stand-up comedy, the best idea is to try to go out there and be yourself. And if you can have a conversation with the audience like you would with three of your buddies sitting in a bar, then I think you're going to come off the best.
Like, it gets people here, it spreads the word about Madison comedy, which, I mean, it's a good comedy town. I think the last count we had 58 comics signed up for this in a town of 200,000 people.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of ridiculous,
Yeah.
you know?
Because the only thing it takes really to get a lot of good comedians in a city is critical mass of mediocre comedians.